The year was 2247, and Admiral Nathan Cole had seen many strange things in his 30 years of service, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. He stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense platform, a massive station that floated high above the blue planet, and watched his screens with growing unease. Something was coming. Something big. "Sir, we have confirmation," said Captain Megan Hart, his second-in-command. She was a tall woman with short brown hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "The object is not natural. It's a ship, and it's heading straight for us." Cole nodded slowly. His gray eyes remained fixed on the screen. The ship was still far away, somewhere near Jupiter, but the sensors showed its size clearly. 3 kilometers long. Bigger than anything humanity had ever built. Bigger than anything humanity had ever imagined. "How long until it reaches us?" Cole asked. "At current speed. Approximately 6 hours." 6 hours. Cole turned to look out the observation window. Below him, Earth turned slowly, peaceful and unaware. Billions of people lived down there, going about their daily lives. They had no idea that everything was about to change. The ship arrived exactly on schedule. It did not attack. It did not try to hide. It simply stopped, hanging in space like a metal mountain, and sent a transmission. Cole ordered it played on the main screen. The face that appeared was not human. It belonged to a creature that looked something like an insect, but stood upright like a man. Its eyes were large and made of many tiny parts that reflected the light in strange ways. Its mouth was a collection of moving parts that clicked and shifted as it spoke. The words came through in English, translated by some technology Cole did not understand. "I am Ambassador Zethrak of the Galactic Concord," the creature said. Its voice was cold and empty of feeling. "Your species has been observed. Your planet has been evaluated. You have been found acceptable for integration into the Concord." Cole felt Megan tense beside him. He raised a hand slightly, telling her to wait. "The terms of your integration are as follows," Zethrak continued. "You will pay tribute to the Concord in the form of raw materials and labor. 20% of your annual mineral production, 10,000 workers each year for Concord projects. You will accept a permanent Concord garrison on your planet to ensure compliance and provide protection. In exchange, you will receive access to selected trade routes and defense against hostile species." The transmission ended. The screen went dark. For a long moment, no one in the command center spoke. "They're not asking," Megan finally said. Her voice was tight with anger. "They're telling." "Yes," Cole agreed. "They are." He turned to his communications officer. "Get me a direct line to Secretary General Dawson, Priority 1, and send copies of this transmission to every government on Earth. Every single one." The next 48 hours were the most important in human history. Leaders from every nation watched the transmission. They argued, they debated, they discussed, but in the end, they all came to the same conclusion. Humanity would not kneel. Secretary General Katherine Dawson, a woman in her 60s with iron-gray hair and a spine to match, delivered humanity's response personally. Cole stood beside her as she faced the camera. "To Ambassador Zethrak and the Galactic Concord," she said, "we have received your terms. We reject them completely. Earth is not for sale. Our people are not for rent. We will not pay tribute. We will not accept occupation. We will not submit to any power that threatens us with force. If you wish to deal with humanity, you will do so as equals, or not at all." The response from Zethrak came within the hour. His multifaceted eyes seemed to glitter with something that might have been amusement. "Your courage is noted," he said. "Your foolishness is disappointing. You do not understand what you face. The Concord has ruled this region of space for 12,000 years. We have absorbed hundreds of species. Many of them said what you have said. All of them learned. All of them submitted in the end. Maybe we're different, Dawson replied. You are not. You are young. You are weak. You have no fleet worthy of the name. You have no allies. You have nothing but a single planet and an excess of pride. We will give you time to reconsider, one of your solar years. When that time is passed, we will return, and we will take what we are owed, whether you offer it freely or not. The transmission ended. The massive ship turned slowly and began to move away, heading back toward the outer reaches of the solar system. Cole watched it go. Beside him, Megan let out a breath she had been holding. 1 year, she said. That's not much time. No, Cole agreed. It isn't. He turned to face his officers. Every eye in the room was on him, waiting for direction, waiting for hope. Listen to me carefully, Cole said. What happens next will determine the future of our species. We have 1 year to prepare for something we don't fully understand. 1 year to build, to plan, to get ready for a fight that no one thinks we can win. He paused, looking at each face in turn. They think we're weak because we're young. They think we'll break because others have broken before us. They're wrong. They don't know us. They don't know what we're capable of when we stand together. Megan nodded slowly. So, what do we do? Cole turned back to the window. Earth hung below, beautiful and fragile and precious beyond words. We get to work, he said. We have a year to show the galaxy what humanity can do. And when they come back, we're going to make them regret ever finding us. In the days that followed, the world changed. Old enemies became allies. Old wounds were set aside. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth worked toward a single goal. They called it the United Earth Defense Initiative. And it was the beginning of something new. Something the galaxy had never seen before. Something that would change everything. 3 months had passed since the Concorde ship delivered its demands. The massive vessel had moved to a position near Neptune, where it sat like a patient predator, watching and waiting. Every day, Earth sensors tracked it. Every day, humanity worked faster. Admiral Nathan Cole had not slept more than 4 hours a night since first contact. There was too much to do, too much to learn, too much at stake. The summons came on a Tuesday morning. Ambassador Zethrak wanted to meet. He called it a final negotiation, but Cole knew better. This was not a negotiation. This was meant to be a demonstration of power. The Concorde wanted to remind humanity of its place. Cole decided to go anyway. He needed to see the enemy up close. He needed to understand them. He chose his team carefully. Captain Megan Hart would come as his military advisor. Dr. Samuel Price, Earth's leading expert on alien languages and cultures, would serve as translator and analyst. They boarded a small shuttle and made the long journey to Neptune. The Concorde vessel was even more impressive up close. Its hull was covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift and move in the light. Weapon systems jutted from its surface like thorns on a metal rose. As their shuttle approached, a docking bay opened like a mouth waiting to swallow them. Inside, the ship was cold and vast. The ceilings stretched up into darkness. The corridors were wide enough for creatures much larger than humans to walk through with ease. Everything was designed to make visitors feel small and insignificant. Cole refused to feel either. They were led by silent guards to a great chamber at the heart of the ship. Ambassador Zethrak waited for them there, seated on a platform that raised him high above the floor. He was not alone. 2 other aliens flanked him on lower platforms. Dr. Price leaned close to Cole and whispered quickly, The one on the left is from the Rathani Empire, reptilian species, very old, very powerful. The one on the right is Vorsk Collective. They look like walking stones, but don't let that fool you. They're fast when they want to be. Cole nodded slightly. So this was the Conquered. A collection of species bound together not by friendship or shared values, but by convenience and fear. Admiral Cole, Zethrak said. His translated voice echoed through the chamber. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I hope your journey was pleasant. It was long, Cole replied. Let's not make this meeting longer than it needs to be. Something flickered in Zethrak's compound eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or annoyance. It was hard to tell with a face that was not built for human expressions. Very well, the ambassador said. I will be direct. Your species has shown remarkable unity in the face of our offer. This is unusual. Most species spend their first months fighting among themselves, hoping to gain favor with us by betraying their own kind. We're not most species, Megan said. Zethrak's mandibles clicked. So I am beginning to understand. But unity alone will not save you. You have no fleet. Your weapons are primitive. Your understanding of space travel is barely past the infant stage. The Concord has ruled this sector for 12,000 years. We have faced resistance before. It always ends the same way. Maybe this time will be different, Cole said. It will not be. Zethrak leaned forward slightly. Let me tell you what will happen if you continue on this path. Our fleet will come. Not one ship, but dozens. Your orbital platforms will be destroyed in minutes. Your cities will be targeted. We will not kill everyone, of course. Dead workers produce nothing, but we will kill enough to break your spirit. We will kill enough to make you understand. The chamber was silent. Cole could feel Megan's anger radiating beside him. He could see Dr. Price's hands trembling slightly as he recorded everything. Cole took a deep breath. When he spoke, his voice was calm and steady. Ambassador, I want you to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. I want you to remember it, because someday, when this is over, you're going to wish you had taken it seriously. He stepped forward, looking up at the alien on his raised platform. Earth does not submit. We don't do it for enemies, and we don't do it for friends. It's not in our nature. You can threaten us. You can hurt us. You can even kill us. But you will never, ever make us kneel. Zethrak stared down at him. For a long moment, neither spoke. You have courage, the ambassador finally said, but courage without strength is just foolishness. You have 9 months remaining. Use them wisely. Prepare your people for what is coming. Because when we return, there will be no more negotiations. There will only be consequences. The meeting was over. The guards led them back to their shuttle. As they pulled away from the massive ship, Megan finally allowed herself to speak. That was either very brave or very stupid, she said. Probably both, Cole admitted. But they needed to hear it. And more importantly, we needed to see them, to understand what we're dealing with. And what are we dealing with? Dr. Price asked. Cole watched the Concord ship shrink in the distance. His mind was already working, already planning. They're confident, he said. Too confident. They've been doing this for thousands of years, and it's always worked. They don't expect us to fight back, not really. They think this is already over. He turned to face his companions. A small smile crossed his weathered face. That's going to be their mistake. They don't know what humans can do when we're cornered. They don't know what we're capable of when everything we love is on the line. Megan raised an eyebrow. And what are we capable of? Cole's smile grew. Things that will make the galaxy remember our name forever. The shuttle flew on through the darkness, carrying 3 humans back toward a small blue planet that refused to surrender. Behind them, the Concorde ship waited, patient and certain of victory. It had no idea what was coming. The world had never worked so fast. In every country, on every continent, factories roared to life. Scientists who had spent their careers competing against each other now shared everything. Secrets that nations had guarded for generations were opened freely. There was no time for pride. There was no room for selfishness. There was only survival. Admiral Nathan Cole barely recognized the planet he had sworn to protect. Old borders still existed on maps, but in practice they meant nothing anymore. A factory in Germany built engines designed in Japan using materials mined in Brazil. A research team in India solved problems that had stumped scientists in America. Soldiers from every nation trained together, ate together, and learned to trust each other with their lives. The United Earth Defense Initiative had become more than just an organization. It had become a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it stopped fighting itself. Captain Megan Hart took command of the shipbuilding program. She pushed her teams relentlessly, sleeping only when she absolutely had to, eating meals while walking between meetings. The first ships came off the lines within 3 months. They were not pretty, they were not elegant, but they were fast, they were tough, and they carried weapons that Megan had helped design herself. The Concorde builds their ships to intimidate, she explained to Cole during one of their briefings. Big, impressive, covered in decorations. Our ships are different. No wasted space. No unnecessary parts. Everything serves a purpose. Every system is designed to help us fight and win. Cole examined the designs with approval. The ships were smaller than Concorde vessels, but far more maneuverable. They could change direction quickly, hide in the shadows between planets, strike without warning, and disappear before the enemy could respond. "How many can we build?" he asked. "By the deadline? Maybe 50 combat-ready vessels, plus support ships, supply carriers, and repair platforms." 50 against their fleet. Cole shook his head slowly. "We'll need every advantage we can get." The advantage they needed came from an unexpected source. Daniel Reyes was 26 years old. He had grown up in a small town in New Mexico, the son of a mechanic and a schoolteacher. He had always been good with computers, able to see patterns that others missed. After college, he had taken a job with the Defense Initiative, working in a cramped laboratory that was supposed to be temporary, but never got upgraded. It was Daniel who made the discovery that changed everything. He had been studying the communication signals that the Concorde ship broadcast. Every species transmitted data, and the Concorde was no exception. Daniel had expected their encryption to be unbreakable, thousands of years more advanced than anything humanity had developed. He was wrong. "They're using the same system they've used for 3,000 years, Daniel reported to a room full of generals and admirals who could barely understand what he was saying. They never changed it because they never needed to. No one ever challenged them seriously enough to make them worry about security." Cole leaned forward. "What exactly are you telling us?" Daniel took a deep breath. "I'm telling you that I can read their mail. All of it. Fleet positions, supply routes, internal communications between commanders. They're not even trying to hide it because they don't think anyone is listening." The room went silent. Then, slowly, smiles began to spread across faces that had been grim for months. "Show me," Cole said. Daniel showed them. He showed them the locations of every Concorde ship in the sector. He showed them the supply routes that kept those ships running. He showed them the messages between Zethrak and his superiors, filled with casual confidence and barely disguised contempt for the primitive humans who thought they could resist. They're planning to send 47 ships, Daniel said. They think it's overkill. Their commanders have been complaining about it, saying it's a waste of resources to send so many against a species that doesn't even have proper FTL travel yet. Megan laughed. It was not a kind laugh. They think 47 is too many? They do. They're expecting us to surrender the moment we see the fleet. They've got a betting pool on how long it will take us to break. The current favorite is 4 hours. Cole stood up. His eyes were bright with something that looked almost like joy. Keep monitoring them. Everything they say, everything they plan, I want to know about it before they do. Yes, sir. The months passed quickly. The fleet grew. The soldiers trained. And Daniel Reyes sat in his little laboratory, listening to the enemy talk about how easily they would crush humanity. He kept detailed notes. He learned the names of Concord commanders, their personalities, their weaknesses. He discovered that the Rathani were not happy with their partnership. He found out that the Vorsk had been looking for an excuse to break away for centuries. He uncovered tensions and jealousies that the Concord had been hiding for thousands of years. All of it went into his reports. All of it was studied, analyzed, and turned into strategy. The final ship came off the production line 1 week before the deadline. They called it the ESS Defiance, and it was the most advanced vessel humanity had ever built. Its weapons were new, untested, but designed specifically to exploit weaknesses that Daniel had discovered in Concord shield technology. Cole stood on the bridge of the Defiance and looked out at the fleet assembled around him. 53 combat ships, 12 support vessels, 20,000 men and women who had volunteered to fly into a battle they might not survive. Megan stood beside him. We're as ready as we're ever going to be. I know. Cole turned to face her. Whatever happens next, I want you to know something. I've served with a lot of officers in my career. You're the best of them. No matter how this ends, it's been an honor. Megan nodded, her eyes bright. Same to you, sir. Same to you. Below them, Earth turned slowly in the darkness. 8 billion people waited and hoped and prayed. They had done everything they could. They had given everything they had. Now there was nothing left to do but wait. The conquered fleet would arrive in 3 days. Humanity was ready. The conquered fleet arrived at exactly the predicted time. Daniel Reyes had been right about everything, down to the smallest detail. 47 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel just beyond Mars, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. They were arranged in a perfect formation, designed to look impressive and terrifying. It worked. Even the most hardened officers felt their hearts skip when they saw the enemy fleet fill their screens. Admiral Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of the Defiance and forced himself to breathe slowly. Fear was natural. Fear was human. But fear could be controlled, and controlled fear could become strength. Status report, he said. All ships in position, Megan Hart replied. She was commanding the stealth squadron, 12 small frigates that were currently hiding in the shadow of Phobos, one of Mars's moons. The Concorde sensors could not detect them there. They would not know about the stealth ships until it was too late. Enemy fleet is holding position, reported another officer. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Let me hear it. Ambassador Zethrak's voice filled the bridge. He sounded pleased with himself like a cat that had cornered a mouse. People of Earth, your year has ended. You have had time to consider your position. You have had time to understand the reality of your situation. The Concorde fleet stands ready to enforce our rightful demands. This is your final opportunity to submit peacefully. Open your cities to our garrison. Begin tribute payments immediately. Do these things, and most of your population will be spared. Resist, and you will learn the true meaning of defeat." The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge. Every eye turned to Admiral Cole. Cole smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Open a channel. All frequencies. I want every ship in both fleets to hear this. I want everyone on Earth to hear it. And I want it recorded and sent to every corner of the galaxy." "Channel open, sir." Cole stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear and filled with quiet power. "To the Galactic Concord and all who are watching, humanity has heard your demands. We rejected them a year ago. We reject them now. We will reject them forever. We are not a species that kneels. We are not a species that surrenders to threats. We are not a species that abandons its freedom because someone bigger tells us to." He paused, letting the words sink in. "You came here expecting to find easy prey. You were wrong. You came here expecting fear and submission. You will find neither. You have made the worst mistake any conqueror can make. You have given us time to prepare. And you have underestimated what humans can do when everything we love is at stake." Cole's smile grew wider. "Today, the galaxy learns what humanity is made of. Today, you learn why you should have left us alone. All ships, engage." The battle began. Megan Hart launched her stealth squadron from behind Phobos. The 12 frigates screamed across the void like ghosts. Invisible to Concord's sensors until they were already among the enemy supply ships. They struck without warning, tearing through undefended targets with weapons designed to kill quickly and move on. 3 Concord supply vessels exploded in the first 30 seconds of fighting. The main Concord fleet broke formation, turning to deal with the threat they had not expected. That was exactly what Cole wanted. As the enemy ships scattered, Earth's main fleet emerged from the asteroid belt where they had been hiding. 53 warships, small but fast and armed with weapons the Concord had never seen before. The Concord commanders had centuries of experience. They had fought dozens of species across thousands of years. But they had never faced an enemy that knew every move they were going to make before they made it. In his laboratory on Earth, Daniel Reyes monitored the enemy communications in real time. Every order, every tactical adjustment, every moment of confusion was transmitted to Admiral Cole within seconds. The Concord fleet fought like a blind giant, swinging at shadows while humanity danced around them. Cole commanded from the center of the battle, pushing his fleet where they needed to be, pulling them back when danger threatened. He felt the rhythm of the fight like music. Like a dance he had practiced his whole life without knowing it. The Defiance proved everything its designers had hoped. Its weapons, kinetic impactors that fired dense metal projectiles at incredible speeds, bypassed Concord's shields entirely. The shields were designed to stop energy weapons, the standard across the galaxy for millennia. No one had thought to protect against solid objects moving fast enough to punch through a kilometer of metal. The Defiance tore through the enemy flagship's escort, destroying 3 cruisers in rapid succession. Cole pushed forward, driving straight for Zethrak's command ship. "All ships, focus fire on the flagship," he ordered. "Take out their head, and the body will fall." The Concord tried to protect their ambassador. They threw ships in the way, sacrificed vessels to buy time. But humanity's fleet was faster, smarter, and fighting with a fury that the Concord had never encountered. Megan Hart's stealth squadron had finished with the supply ships. Now they attacked from behind, striking at engines and weapon systems, creating chaos and confusion. The Concord fleet, so perfectly arranged when they arrived, was scattered and disorganized. 6 hours after the first shot was fired, the battle ended. 31 Concord ships were destroyed or disabled. 16 managed to escape, fleeing back to wherever they had come from. Ambassador Zethrak's flagship, its engines destroyed and its weapons offline, was captured intact. Earth had lost 8 ships. 347 men and women had given their lives to protect their home. They would be remembered forever. Cole stood on the bridge of the Defiance as the last Concorde vessel surrendered. His hands were shaking, his heart was pounding, but his voice was steady when he gave his final order of the battle. Secure all prisoners, begin rescue operations for any survivors on both sides, and someone get me a line to Secretary General Dawson. Tell her we won. Outside, in the vast darkness of space, debris from the battle drifted slowly. But Earth was safe, Earth was free, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. News of the battle spread faster than anyone expected. Somehow, the recording of Admiral Cole's speech before the fight found its way to every corner of the galaxy. Species that had never heard of Earth suddenly knew the name. Species that had been conquered by the Concorde for centuries watched in amazement as a young civilization did what none of them had ever dared to try. The Conquered, which had stood for 12,000 years, began to crack within days. The Rathani Empire was the first to act. They had always been uncomfortable partners in the Conquered, forced into the alliance long ago by threats they could no longer remember. Now, with the Concorde's fleet humiliated and its ambassador in human custody, the Rathani saw their chance. They announced their withdrawal from the Federation, declaring themselves an independent power for the first time in 3,000 years. The Vorsk Collective followed soon after. Then the smaller species, the ones who had been paying tribute for generations, began to resist. Payments stopped. Garrisons were expelled. The Conquered's remaining ships rushed from one crisis to another, trying to hold together an empire that was falling apart faster than they could react. Admiral Nathan Cole watched it all happen. From Earth orbit. He had not slept in 3 days. He was exhausted, bone-tired, but he could not rest. There was too much to do. Captain Megan Hart, now promoted to Admiral herself, found him standing at an observation window, staring out at the stars. "You need to sleep," she said. "I will. Soon." Cole did not turn around. "I keep thinking about what comes next. We won the battle, Megan. But what does that mean? What do we do now?" Megan joined him at the window. "We survived. That's what matters. Is it enough? The Conquered isn't gone. They'll regroup. They'll come back eventually. Maybe not soon, but someday. Then we'll be ready." Cole finally turned to look at her. "Will we? We got lucky this time. We had Daniel's intelligence. We had surprise on our side. Next time, they'll know what we can do. Next time, they'll be prepared. Then we'll find new advantages. That's what humans do. We adapt. We overcome. We find a way." Before Cole could respond, an aide rushed into the room. "Admiral, there's a transmission coming in. You need to see this." The message was from a Rathani diplomat. Her name was Ambassador Vethra, and she spoke with an urgency that cut through the translator's artificial voice. "Admiral Cole, my government has authorized me to make contact with your species. We watched your battle. We heard your words. For 3,000 years, we have lived under the Concorde's shadow. We did not believe it was possible to resist them. You have shown us that we were wrong." She paused, her reptilian face unreadable, but her voice filled with emotion. "The Rathani Empire wishes to open formal relations with Earth. We wish to discuss alliance, trade, and mutual defense. We are not the only ones. Many species have contacted us asking if we know how to reach you. The galaxy is watching, Admiral. They are waiting to see what humanity will do next." The transmission ended. Cole and Megan looked at each other. "Looks like we have our answer," Megan said. "What comes next is bigger than just survival. It's about building something new. 3 months later, representatives from 17 species gathered in orbit around Earth. They came in ships of every shape and size, some elegant and some ugly, some ancient and some new. They came because they had heard about the battle. They came because they had seen a small species stand up to a giant and win. They came because they wanted to believe that change was possible. Dr. Samuel Price, who had once been just a translator, now served as Earth's first ambassador to the galaxy. He had worked without rest to learn the languages and customs of each species. He had prepared documents and speeches and proposals that took into account perspectives humanity had never considered before. The meeting took place in a great hall built specifically for this moment. Admiral Cole stood at the front, beside Secretary General Dawson and a dozen other leaders from Earth. Across from them sat representatives from the Rithani, the Vorsk, the Thel, the Mondari, and a dozen other species whose names most humans could not even pronounce yet. Cole stepped forward to speak. He looked out at the gathered aliens, these strange and wonderful beings from across the stars, and he felt something he had not expected: hope. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "A year ago, humanity faced a choice: submit to the Concord's demands or fight for our freedom. We chose to fight. Not because we wanted war, but because we refused to accept a future built on threats and tribute." He paused, looking at each delegation in turn. "We did not fight for conquest. We did not fight to replace one empire with another. We fought because we believe that every species has the right to determine its own destiny. Every species has the right to be free." The Rithani ambassador nodded slowly. Others did the same. "Today, I want to propose something new. Not an empire, not a federation based on force and fear, but an alliance. A partnership of free species working together by choice, protecting each other because we want to, not because we have to." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small document. On it were the basic principles that he and Dr. Price had spent weeks developing: freedom of trade, mutual defense, respect for sovereignty, no tribute, no subjugation, no masters. "We call it the Free Worlds Alliance, and every species here is invited to join, not as subjects, but as equals, not as servants, but as partners." The vote was unanimous. Every delegation agreed. The Free Worlds Alliance was born. After the ceremony, as delegates mingled and talked and began the long process of building something new, a young Rithani approached Admiral Cole. She was the daughter of Ambassador Vethra, barely old enough to be at such an important event. "Admiral," she said, her voice small but determined. "I have a question." Cole smiled. "Ask." "We have watched many species face the Concord. All of them submitted. All of them broke. The Concord always wins. Everyone knows this. But you didn't break. Your species didn't submit. Why? What makes humans different?" Cole thought about the question for a long moment. He thought about the year of preparation. He thought about the scientists and soldiers who had worked themselves past exhaustion. He thought about Daniel Reyes in his cramped laboratory, and Megan Hart pushing her fleet to be better, and all the millions of people on Earth who had refused to give up. "We're not special," he finally said. "We don't have better technology. We're not smarter or stronger than anyone else. We were just too stubborn to quit." The young Rithani looked confused. "That is all? Stubbornness?" Cole laughed softly. "That's what it comes down to. In the end, when someone tells us we can't do something, we do it anyway. When someone tells us to surrender, we fight harder. It's not logical. It's not always smart. But it's who we are." He put a gentle hand on her shoulder. "And now, maybe it can be who all of us are, together." Outside the great hall, the stars shone bright and endless. The galaxy stretched out in all directions, filled with wonders and dangers that humanity had only begun to discover. The future was uncertain. Challenges lay ahead that no one could predict. But for the first time in a very long time, the people of Earth looked up at the sky not with fear, but with hope. They were no longer alone. They were no longer afraid. And they would never, ever kneel. This was the beginning of humanity's story among the stars. And what a story it would be.